Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Sligo Show. Nice to have you back again. Can't believe we've made it to 6 episodes already. As always, this week we have your news, sport and entertainment. We have a lovely local feature with the Hobby Shop on O'Connell Street in episode. It was John the Map and his lovely artwork. So we'll have a little piece on that to show you a bit later on. And first, we have a very special guest, good friend of mine, but a great man from Sligo with lots of great stories, Mr. Shane Gillen. You're very welcome to the show.
Brendan, how are you?
Very weird, to, someone you're friendly with to be chatting in a chat show way, but welcome to the show nonetheless.
Thank you very much.
So, I suppose, obviously I know so much about you, but to people watching, tell us a little bit about, your upbringing in Sligo and kind of the journey on up to school and whatnot.
Okay, I was born in Sligo and lived in Cairns Road until I was 7. And I went to Carrow National School, where I peed my pants on day 1.
Day 1?
Yeah, my very first day of school.
It's a good memory anyways.
And I remember I was sent home in a pair of girls' knickers anyway.
That's an interesting opening to the show, anyways.
Yeah, and anyway...
Was it uphill or downhill from there in Carrow Road? Did it go okay?
No, it was uphill. It was uphill. It wasn't hard to go uphill from there. And then we moved to the park on the Strandhill Road. I did a brief stint in St. John's School. Nothing against the school, wasn't for me.
Yeah.
and I didn't last long in there. And then I moved out to Strandhill National School, that's where I finished national school. And then I went to Summerhill for I think a year and a half or 2 years, and then my family moved to Offaly. So I did a lot of the schools, 4 schools in Sligo.
You could do a school review.
I could do a school review, and then my family moved to Offaly, and so I spent my teenage years in Offaly. And then when I went to college Dublin for college, my parents since moved back to Sligo, so they're in a house that I never grew up in. So it's very much stay in one of the guest rooms. There's only one guest room. It's not your childhood bedroom or anything like that.
What was it you did in college again?
I did English Media and Cultural Studies. It was basically an arts degree in essentially journalism, but it was an arts degree in college in IEDT. And
with all the stuff you do now, which we'll obviously get to, which is managing loads of acts and your whole career and that, but back then, like you obviously did a degree in journalism, so obviously most people go on to do what they do their course in, but you didn't. But did you think that was a time in your life where you started seeing some of the stuff like now, like that whole world of events and
yeah, kind of. I have always had like a regret over what I like. I still think it's an early age to be choosing what you're going to do in college, unless you're going into like medicine, where there's a very concrete profession at the end of it, like you're going to be a doctor or something like that. But like when you're going into an arts degree, it's kind of just like, often you can feel like you're just putting things on hold, before you make any decisions. So I do regret, like I didn't really like the course, and like I probably I would be someone who would be if I liked something, I'd be quite studious in school and stuff like that. So it wasn't if I liked it, I probably would have engaged more with it. But I didn't love it. I just didn't love the course.
You still forced through and finished it out.
It's
a good old Irish thing though, isn't it?
I know,
rather than
I did, and then but in my final year I became the ENTS officer for the student union, and prior to that, like ENTS, like it's so funny, you have that like classic student union, I can change everything attitude, and you think that you're the head of the Labour Party or something. But I went in thinking like I can change what, because up until that point, I think in a lot of colleges, the idea of ENTS officer was just this like party animal, like set up all the different parties, and I thought like if you actually did it properly, like it's as important as like potentially a welfare officer or something, like, because like
when you're creating stuff that they can go and socialise and meet people.
Exactly. It's so I focused really heavy on that in my. I haven't even ever talked about this since, but like in my hustings and all that, like, and my slogan was "Let me entertain you." Very good.
Was that Robbed? Was that pre or post Robbie? Now was it him that made up that? But
the ENTS thing is the ENTS thing would be like
probably give you.
That's what I did in college. That I feel like was the closest to kind of what I'm doing now.
So then when college finished, like obviously I know you went then your first real big career move, I suppose, as such, was a magician.
Yeah.
Now again, lots of kids want to be a magician, but I don't know many people that have become a
That's
magician.
mad. Yeah.
So like, how did that even come about? Like,
It happened like first year in college. I think it was the first summer. I was doing a J1 with my then girlfriend, now wife, and we went to San Francisco, and she got a job. I can't remember what she was doing, but she got a job somewhere. You know, you just go and pick up a job like for the summer, and you're away for 3 months, and it's it's a big deal. Like, and I think I got a job in a little florist's. Delivering flowers to different offices around the Bay Area. Like, it was a really easy job, and I was there like 2 days a week, and it paid well. And then the other 3 days I was just like arsing about because Kat was working. So and I wandered,
living off the missus, like, was it?
yeah, basically, yeah, not much has changed. And
I can't.
and then I wandered into a magic shop in San Francisco. Yeah, a couple of things had happened. I'd seen a magician right before going over with my brother and my dad, and at the World Street Performance Festival in Dublin, and he just did this routine that I was like, it buried itself in my head a bit. I needed to know how he did it, like, and
so it wasn't from a young age. You weren't always mad into magic.
No,
that's
like
kind
I
of surreal. Yeah.
probably did watch like Blaine but no more than any other teenage boy. Like, I didn't even know it was something that you could go and learn. Like, I probably thought it was an actual supernatural thing that people could actually like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to remember. But yeah,
You went into a magic shop.
I went into a magic shop in San Francisco, and there was a guy behind the counter. His name was Joe Pon. Like, we've stayed in touch, and every year some other boy walks in there, and every year he picks someone to go, like, well, I'll mentor you. So just for the crack, 3 days a week I was in with him learning magic tricks. Like, it was actually a dream, like, and then I was delivering flowers on the Monday and Tuesday.
Literally living the dream.
And and so I was like doing all these little card tricks. I remember even like at the end of the summer, like, I even replied to a Craigslist ad looking for a psychic for like $500, and I turned up to this party, and I bought mad glasses and all, and I convinced them all just from magic tricks that I learned, like, and they were all thought
you never told me this story ever.
So
you pretended to be a psychic.
Yeah, I went out there and pretended I was a psychic, same as every psychic pretends to be a psychic.
Well, if someone's booked a psychic, they're very open-minded to what's coming in, so you can just play on that.
So, and like, sure, the psychic, there's no way to tell if the psychic's going to be, it's all in the future anyway.
No badge,
you can say anything, like.
Yeah.
I bought these silly glasses, and I went up and I made $500, like, convincing them all I was psychic by doing some magic tricks I learned in the magic shop. So, but I loved the entertain, like, the kind of
the showmanship of it,
deceitfulness of it, or something.
Well,
and I was like,
a bit of Irish devilment in that too.
I loved that. And then just through college, when I came back, having learned all that kind of stuff, like, I was just doing, the usual, like, I was doing tricks.
Doing it for fun, was it? And
on nights out and stuff for friends, and then like people were like, "Geez, this is really good!" Like, and then you start to get more into it, like any kind of hobby, and then you start like really getting into it. So over the course of college, I was kind of getting into that anyway, and then when college finished, I just really went for it for a while, and I was doing like. Yeah, I was flat out doing, like, I had a manager and all, and an agent, and I was doing gigs.
You were doing proper live theatre shows. I was at one of the Hawkswell, and I know you had a big one in Smock Alley, was it?
Yeah, Smock Alley Theatre, I did a week.
So, like, proper big productions.
I know.
You, the star, you
like
written by you.
Like, yeah.
Very good. And going back for a second to New York, you also got to perform for some famous people. By kind of luck.
Yeah, by luck, I did a J1 in New York each subsequent year while I was in college, and my uncle was a real estate agent over there, and he was like, one day we were walking through Central Park, and he pointed at this building, 15 Central Park West. There's actually a whole book, there is literally a book on it called 15 Central Park West. It's like a real high-end building, condominium building. And he was like, oh, that's where you want to get, like, you want to be a lobby boy in there, like, because, like, the tips, you're talking about, he was like, oh, Madonna lives up on the top floor, and all these, like, huge names, and I remember Googling it, and I was like, oh, that would be class. Like, and I wanted to do summer jobs. And what happened was, I was going to go for a job as, like, a lobby attendant in one of these places, like, because that's what everyone was kind of doing in New York, and then it would mean you're free for the evenings, and, like, it's just an easy enough job, like. And it just so happened that. So what happened was I applied in this other building. Obviously, 15th Century Park West. You can't even walk into the place, like, you can't just drop your CV off. Yeah. And what do you say on your CV? Like, I've pushed the trolley around. I don't know. But anyway, there was a place looking for lobby attendants, and I walked in. But on that same day that I was in there, so they were giving me a role, like I got the job within 5 minutes. Like the manager was like, yeah, grand, can you start on Monday? So half this shift is lobby attendant and the other half is kind of janitor work. And I was really like, oh, I don't love the idea of clean. Now, it's not public toilets or anything like that, you know, it was a really plush building. So like, it wasn't that bad, but I was just like, oh, I hated the idea of it. I was like, I don't know. And on the day that I was kind of given the job in there, I was overdressed. Like I went in a suit and all that, like, and sure, like, I just didn't know what to be dressed like. And even the manager was like, Jesus, you didn't need to wear the suit to the interview and all. And then, but on that same day, that building was having an inspection by the owner of the company, the management company that's above the building. That's a management company called Brown Harris Stevens. And the CEO of that company is a guy called Paul Herman. He's a huge, like, mogul in New York. And Paul Herman was doing a walkthrough inspection, and like all the staff were on edge, and I was being told like, yeah, so like come in on Monday, but this guy's coming in now, so like just make sure you're kind of gone before he comes in. Like even the manager and stuff. But anyway, I was in the middle of being like walked around this building when Paul Herman turned up, and it was like, you know, it was like a movie. Like this guy walked in and he was larger than life and small little guy, but like he walked in and he was real strict, and he got to me and he was like, who are you? Like, you know, and I was telling him, and then immediately we clicked, like we really got on. And then I said to him, like, he was like, so you're starting here? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, no, you're not going here. I'm putting you over in 15. Like, and I was like, oh my God, because that was the place. So yeah, so then he sent me across to 15 Central Park West, met the manager there, a guy called Greg Karlovich, big New Yorker, like real laid back, lovely fella, like nothing like you'd expect, because I was going in here and all these celebrities lived in there, but everyone was just, all the staff. That's what makes those places amazing. Like the staff are just, you know, everyone was so lovely. And by the time I got there, like Paul had called, being like, give this guy a job, like. And so I walked in the suit, and Greg was like, right, you're starting next week. There was no interview. Like he was like, I hear you're starting with us, and
that's it.
Yeah, and so what the job ended up being is that all the faucets, all the apartments that had the original faucets in there, a pipe had to be changed in the whole building. There was something wrong with the original faucets, right? Okay. Meaning an outside contractor, plumbing company, had to now enter the homes of like every single home. Yeah. And 15 Central Park West had to provide one of their staff to accompany the plumbers into these places. So like they were like, this Irish lad will go in and he'll chat away to the owners.
That we've just met. Yeah. We have no idea about him.
Yeah, and they were like, this guy will go in, he'll chat away to the owners, he'll represent 15 Central Park West, and the plumbers, he'll make sure. It was more just, the plumbers weren't going to go robbing anything, obviously. It was more just the residents' security, because you're talking major celebrities. So like, I was basically given, I was like, no other staff member had been into every single apartment, and you're going in, so then I got a big Excel sheet, and I had to go through, like there's about 300 apartments, so it would take the 3 months like to do. And yeah, met these 3 plumbers, and that was it. And so I got to wear, I didn't have to wear a uniform or anything, I could wear whatever I wanted, and I was just a representative for the building, and I got to know the residents really well.
So like all of them, or just that day you would have met them, or passing in out the door kind of?
Yeah, well, you'd be in their apartment for half an hour to 40 minutes, like while this is happening, and then obviously if they're there, they're going to chat to you. Some of them wouldn't, and just leave you to it. But like often,
who did you get? Anyone particularly got friendly with or chatted with a few times?
There was obviously every single person when you leave, you're googling them immediately, trying to. I see one guy, his name is Jesse Itzler. He owned a private jet company that hires out to like 50 Cent came over to a party in his once, and Jesse Itzler's place and all this. But like I DM'd him recently on Instagram just to see like would he remember, like, because he's a huge, like he's got millions of followers or whatever, and I was like, oh, I was changing the faucets in your apartment. But like he was like, oh yeah, I remember. Like, he just remembered a young Irish kid. Yeah. Well, he said he did anyway.
Well, there's probably not too many young Irish kids going into that job.
That's the thing, yeah. And he remembered that had to happen. Like it was just a finicky thing that had to happen. But anyway, yeah. But Denzel Washington lived there too, and like got to know him. And then Kelsey Grammer.
Did they bring you in to do some magic in their house or show friends?
Yeah. So then what had been happening is that I was also doing magic tricks for some of the staff. You know what I mean? Like on nights out in the building. And then some of the staff members would be very tight with some of the residents. And I remember one guy, John, one of the staff members, like he and Denzel were really tight. Like the 2 of them were just really tight. It was just so surreal, man. And Denzel was coming back. He was doing a Broadway play at the time called Fences. And so he'd be coming back every night after doing the show. So he'd come back around 10:30. His car would pull up, and John one night was like, you got to see Shane doing magic tricks, and he was like, oh, you didn't mention anything like that when you're in my bathroom, like, you know.
Yeah,
so,
well, it's not the topic you bring up here.
so
You
then
want to see some
Denzel was
magic.
like, yeah, so Denzel was like, show me a trick. So I was there doing little card tricks and all, and then he was like,
surreal
his
journey.
son was coming home surreal. His son was coming home one weekend. He was a college football player. He was coming home one weekend, and Denzel was like, you'll have to come up and do tricks for like, I can't remember his son's name.
Crazy.
And his wife, Pauletta. So yeah, and then Kelsey Grammer, he like invited me over to his apartment on one of my days off. Like I called in to the building, like I brought him up coffee, like I was ringing him, seeing what coffee he wanted. His mobile, like, you're Fraser, like.
It's crazy, isn't
yeah,
it?
so
What a amazing story for you, Irish kid.
He
man.
let me bring my friend with a camera, like, so we're
so you have some
we're
pictures.
sitting in his apartment, like, and there's loads of photos of us doing. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
So that was the whole magic part of your career. So
Yeah.
as if that wasn't enough, and you hadn't met enough famous people, you decided to try something else a number of years later. It was your company now, Big and Bright, who is a big talent agency. Is that a creative agency?
Yeah.
Like that all started with a young band from Offaly.
It did,
Again,
yeah.
a tiny little seed, and the next thing went crazy. So.
Yeah. Chasing Abbey, they went to the school that I went to in Tullamore in Offaly. They're younger than I am, so they were a good few years behind. Like I was finished school when they were starting. Like, but yeah, they'd entered. They had been a folk band before being Chasing Abbey, and
They
they
actually played in the Fla in Sligo, didn't they?
Yeah, there you go. And they'd been a folk band before they were Chasing Abbey, and they'd won a Battle of the Bands thing. I was in there was a new hall. The school was launching a new like hall and a real town thing to do.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I was doing magic at it. And as a
Okay, so
former
pure
student,
again, a stroke of luck. You didn't go
Yeah.
chasing these to see.
no, the school asked me to go back and perform, like, and so there's like 500 people there, and then after I finished, like, the winner of the school Battle of the Bands competition was playing, and it was the guys, like, and they performed afterwards, and I remember thinking, like, they're incredible. They were only probably 15, 16 at the time. I was blown away by them, and I remember talking to some of my former teachers, being like, "These guys are amazing. Tell me."
I think that Ruggedwood were one of the best
I thought
Irish
they were-
bands, music-wise, I've ever heard. But yet they only were just there for a little window, like.
Yeah, they were just there for a little window. It led on to bigger and better things, but they were incredible, and yeah. So then, just from my own kind of career in the entertainment industry, I just had a lot of friends and stuff in that same
The right
space,
world, yeah.
and I really wanted to help those guys. Like, there was no. Sure, I was too young to even think of like business or monetary or contracts or any of that. Like, I was just like, oh, how do you elevate that creativity? And
it's hard to do a course in band management. It's just, I think a lot of that, and in fairness, I seen you doing it at the time, just good honesty with them. They could trust you, which is not, doesn't come around a lot in the entertainment world.
Yeah,
and like
that's
you said,
true,
you didn't have any
I think,
experience in managing bands,
no,
but you had the right desire.
But I didn't, even the word management, I didn't know that that's
what it was.
What I was doing. Like, you know what I mean? I was just helping them. I liked the idea of helping them out, like, and then we got them gigs, like, as you said,
Like
in Sligo.
they went on and
Sligo
played Three Arena, and they played all kinds of crazy gigs and awards. Most played song in Ireland. What year was that? 3 or 4 years ago, maybe?
A couple of years ago, yeah, and it was.
So they were really mad.
Song of the year and everything.
Yeah.
RT Song of the Year. So yeah, they blew up, and like, and then sure, like, during the early process of that, like, it became very evident that, like, I had to become like their manager, and, you know, my business partner Greg, like, we decided we were going to manage them, and then we were like, well, in order to do that, we need a company, like, we need to do it properly, and probably at the start, to be honest, we probably thought, like, I'd still do magic as well, and that would be part of it. And like, I don't know, we didn't know what it was going to be, like, you know, didn't really know if it was going to work, or if I could go back 3 years and tell myself, like, how well it had gone, you know, like, that I would be shocked, you know, because we didn't know our arse from our elbows, really. So
well, it's good honesty. But, like, even we'll talk in the second half a bit more about some of the other acts you have now and how the lucky breaks there. But back then, when Chasing Abbey skyrocketed, and, you know, you weren't really managing other artists or acts, was it a case then everyone seen you and started going, will you manage us? Or did you say, let's look for other acts? Which way did that kind of build the company? Did you look?
What happened was, like, so we knew we needed to be a company, but we didn't have a name or anything like that, and we got a contract with the guys, and we were like, we were very honest in saying, like, let's all just give this a go, like, you know, you know, they could have, like, and I'll always be grateful, because they could have easily, there were other managers of really well-known acts, like looking for the guys, especially when their first single went to #1 overnight, and that's when like everyone was emailing them, and Universal signed them. So there was a big record label, and the record labels won't sign an act without management. Like they'll never. A record label never wants to ever speak to the artist directly, because they want to be able to be as ruthless as possible and just talk business. So they always want a middleman. And they're pricks anyway, so like, do you know what I mean?
Don't beat around the bush there, no. But it is an industry that is difficult, and for young people, you can see
really
how
difficult.
they get chewed up and spit
just
out.
Through the years that I've been in and out, like at the time I would have been so excited by a major label coming along, and like now I'd be less excited. I'd be far more skeptical and like, you know, far more protective over the artist, like, and just making sure that the contracts are like perfect, and like every artist should be like that if a label is coming along, like, you know.
Yeah, no, but as you said, you were the kind of
we were
babysitters of the guys as such.
Blinding lights. But anyway, to answer your question, what happened was, we just knew we were kind of a talent agency. And I knew there was a young magician in Northern Ireland that I'd seen before. He was only like 15 maybe, or 16. And I was like, this guy is going to be absolutely massive. Like I was saying to Greg, and Greg was like, oh, I don't know about a magician. We got in the car and we drove up to Bangor in County Down, where this guy was doing a show. Joel Mawhinney is his name. And we went to his show one night, and like Joel wouldn't have known anything about Big and Bright or Chasing Abbey or anything like that. Like, but he and I had met like maybe once or twice before. So like he knew who I was, and he'd gone to a show of mine before, and he did this show up north, and it was unbelievable, and he was just so good, and he was like incredibly talented. And I was saying to Greg, I think he should be our second signing, like for Big and Bright. So we chatted to him after. So he just,
again, a short meeting probably.
Yeah,
like everything that seems to happen in your life.
Yeah,
quick meeting, you seem to click.
Chat to him after the show, and then we jumped in the car and we got lost on the way back to Dublin. We took a wrong turn on the way back to Dublin. I remember that car journey. We were trying to come up with a company name, like, and we knew we wanted an and in it. Like we just thought, like, there was a couple of other companies we loved. There was a company called Bold and Brave, and we thought that was such a cool name, you know. And we're trying to think. I remember, like, we were like Deep and Dark. No, like we were trying to make it look really cool, like. And genuinely, I think the two of us, like, we both remember it the exact same way. That we both, like, we said all the right, you know, all the right words. That the next words that we both said at the same time, we were both like Big and Bright, and we were like, oh, that is good, like Big and Bright. So then we were lost, and we got on the road back to Dublin, and we were like, yeah, let's go with that, like Big and Bright. So we came up with the name of the company then, right after signing Joel. And then, kind of like, you know, just through social media promo and stuff, people were getting in touch with us, and I'm sure we didn't know how many people we could manage, or how many could you sign.
I know, well, you didn't know what your limits were.
Didn't know what the company, how the company would work, like, and how it would actually, you know, like, we didn't even have our accountants then or anything. Like, you didn't know how a company actually functions, really.
Not in that world,
So, yeah.
Well, in the second half, we're going to ask you a lot more about some of these other acts, some of them which have billions of views on some of their social media platforms. So amazing. And like even that first chat, like I didn't even know some of those stuff, and some of the little strokes. So, like your life just seems to be a constant little moment that clicks and it works. And like there's something unbelievable. You know, so rare. I meet people that have always just seen that little click, you know. So anyways, we'll chat to you more in a few minutes. So now we're going to have our weekly news, sport and entertainment.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to this week's news headlines with me, Jessica Farry. Swimmer Mona McSharry departs for the Tokyo Olympics with the hopes of the nation on her shoulders. Fellow Grange athlete Christopher O'Donnell will join her later in what is a first for the county, with 2 Sligo athletes participating in this year's Olympics. The Flatfest is launched at the Peace Park, where a gig rig will be erected in August to facilitate live trad music events taking place. There will also be a number of events hosted online to celebrate Flatfest. Motorists in the area are wondering if it can get any worse, as road surfacing works taking place on the N4-N15 improvement scheme are expected to cause significant delays to traffic. And, similarly to everywhere else across the country at the minute, affordability and supply issues are causing the Sligo housing market to turn into a bit of a frenzy. You can read all of these stories and lots more in this week's The Sligo Champion newspaper, available in all shops locally, or you can subscribe to the e-paper online at sligochampion.ie.
welcome to the weekly sports update with the Sligo Show. My name is Alana Canan and I'm going to bring you the headlines from the last week in sport across the county. Sligo under-20 men's football team bowed out of their Connacht semi-final versus Roscommon at Dr Hyde Park yesterday evening on a scoreline of 4-13 to 2-12, while the hurlers will face the same opponents this weekend in the second round of the Christy Ring Cup. The Sligo ladies minor squad were unsuccessful in their own Connacht Championship match too. Galway's 5-23 too much for the 8th Counties 1-6, while the intermediate ladies team fell short to Wexford in their first championship game of the year last weekend, but will regroup as they're to face Westmeath on Sunday coming. And in lighter news, former captain Jackie Mulligan was named in the team of the league for her contributions to the black and white jersey in the opening half of the season. Grange's Mona McSharry and Chris O'Donnell have arrived in Tokyo in preparation for the Olympic Games, which get underway on Friday the 23rd of July. Both athletes will be hoping to medal in their individual disciplines, which include the swimming 100 and 200 metre breaststroke and mixed athletics relay, respectively. Finally, Sligo Rovers host Icelandic FH side in the showgrounds this evening, where they will have to put in a phenomenal effort to overturn the 1-0 inflicted upon them away from home last week. 400 fans will be allowed to attend that one, where Liam Buckley's side will surely have to give it all to progress in the Europa Conference League. That's it for this week's sports wrap up with me, Alana Canan. You can find more from me over on hersport.ie, The Final Whistle, and also your local media outlets.
Hi everyone, Karen Gordon here from Pop-Up Theatre Sligo and the Star Factory with your entertainment update. In the Modern Island, Alison Pilkington's I Build My Own Island exhibition continues from the 10th of July right up until Sunday the 26th of September. Sligo-born Alison Pilkington's practice taps into an inner world of personal experience to conjure up strange and unsettling worlds where all is not entirely at ease. Check out the Modern Island on Facebook for more information. The Corja Festival Far In, Far Out visual trail continues right up until Saturday the 17th of July. Tour stops include Henry Lyons, Broderick's, Café Flore, Ruby Lane, Certis, Craftsman's Press, Bookmart and Connacht House. Be sure to check out all these exhibitions before they wrap up this weekend. Also running as part of the Corja Festival, the Hamilton Gallery is hosting Inside the Circle, Exploring Cold Spaces by Heidi Wickham, running right up until Saturday the 31st of July. The Sligo Jazz Festival also kicks off from the 20th to the 25th of July with a host of in-person and online events. Check out sligojazz.ie for a full list of upcoming gigs. Also during the Corja Festival, a fantastic exhibition titled Human Signature, a lens-based exhibition, takes place in Hyde Bridge Gallery right up until Saturday the 24th of July. And if you're looking for something really exciting for the family this weekend, the Hawkswell Theatre are hosting a scavenger hunt in the Fox's Den on Saturday the 17th of July, anytime between 11 to 4 p.m. Tickets are €10 per team, and all the money raised goes towards the Hawkswell Theatre Renovation Fund. That's it from me. Stay safe, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
So thanks to the team there with all your news, sport and entertainment. So we're back here again with Shane Gillen. I don't know what title to give you, I suppose at the moment. It's Director of Big and Bright, a talent agency. Friend, obviously, but I mean, you've done so many things. So going back onto where your journey is now, which is where people have seen you more and more recently. We're going to talk about your artwork as well in a moment. But first, go back to managing talent. I suppose I'm intrigued, and I'd say people at home are intrigued. Managing these people, like, it must be a surreal thing to do, that anyone from all over the world could be ringing you, So, like, you started adding to your, let's call it your stable of talent, and it wasn't just bands. Well, what kind of people were you, what kind of backgrounds?
Yeah, at the start we kind of thought we'd go. We always wanted to get into sport as well, like music, sport. Obviously, magic was a kind of a curveball, but it made sense given my own background. Yeah. So we had Joel and Chase Nabby, and then we were looking at sport. But like to become a sport agent, you can't. It's like you have to take your time rather than like it's not the same. because there's so many really well-established sports agencies out there. So like it's not like whereas there's not that many really well-established music agencies or music management companies. So so we kind of had it in our heads that we'd someday get into sport. So that was really early on, and in particular rugby was something that which we have now gotten into. But at the time we wanted to do that, and then.
You've 3 of the Irish rugby stars now.
Yeah.
Craig
and
Casey,
Shane Daly and Will O'Connor and
Okay.
Craig, as you say. And then we've a partnership with Anzo Sports, which is a rugby agent. So that happened. And then what ended up happening was like we started like looking after some sort of social media content creators and influencers and stuff for a while. That's a whole different thing. Like you're more, for like a band. You might be managing a career, like you might be setting down a 6-month plan and maybe a year-long plan, and like it's a whole career you're managing. Whereas with the influencer stuff, it's week by week. You're managing just like
it can change what people want to promote.
You're managing. It's advertising space is what you're managing essentially through a persona, like it's you're a different person managing them than you are managing like the likes of Joel or something like that or Josh or anything like that. So so we kind of had a selection from all over the place. Mixed bag, yeah.
With social media, again, most of us go on TikTok for a laugh, but you're the manager of all these acts. So it's obviously a revenue stream for acts. Like I know YouTube hits and all that, you get money via the ads, isn't that right? But TikTok themselves, is that right? They pay you. So you're a bit of a guru in this world.
Yeah, although
for your clients.
YouTube, as of the last month, also now pay you directly as well.
Okay.
TikTok, and that's because of TikTok. Instagram now pay creators directly.
So they're all following TikTok, essentially.
They have to, because otherwise they'll lose all these creators to TikTok. Of course they will. TikTok, obviously I go on just for the laugh as well, but I have seen like the money that people can make on TikTok is astronomical. Week to week, you've got the Creator Fund. Annoyingly, the Creator Fund isn't rolled out in Ireland yet, but it is in Northern Ireland, so because it's in the UK.
Joel can.
So Joel can partake in it, and that pays you per view and retention time on every TikTok video, and that's TikTok themselves paying you. And then once you go live on TikTok, like anyone going live on TikTok right now, even with 0 followers, your live is still pushed out to an algorithm. So people still end up on your live, regardless of whether you have followers or not. So people will be viewing it anyway. Like it might only have 2 people, but it doesn't matter whether you have followers or not. It doesn't work like other platforms like that. And like if you're doing something mad interesting on your live, like a chat show maybe in Sligo. Like a chat show. We need to get on there, Brian. But if you're doing something that's really interesting, like the likelihood is someone who's already looking for a live thing. It's like changing the channel on TV. Like you land on something, you go, geez, what's that? Like we manage an Irish dance group, and if they're in the middle of a live Irish dance, like suddenly it's captivating. And suddenly now, if a couple of people start watching that, then TikTok's algorithm sees that and it'll push out your live to a few more people. You could end up with like more viewers watching your live thing than you do have followers. Like,
is it only the money? Sorry, go on.
So on the live thing, there's a TikTok currency, and it looks like stickers, like it's to appeal to kids basically. And I could potentially watch the Sligo Show on TikTok, and then I can send you a panda. But to send you a panda, like I have to buy the panda. You know what I mean? Like
so their credit cards are connected.
Credit card is already connected to TikTok. It has to be anyway, because sure, how do you it has to be already in the app store. TikTok are strict on it's an over 15s app, and like it says it everywhere that your credit card is attached, and sure people can go. It's only a click of a button.
So basically, don't let the kids go on TikTok.
But some of these gifts are like €50. You can send a carousel, and say like your favorite TikToker is doing a live. The incentive is like if I send a carousel, say like Brendan Tierney's doing a live on TikTok, and I want him to notice me, but there's 20,000 people watching it. Well, how will he see me and say my name? But if I send the carousel takes over the whole screen, and my name comes up really big on the screen. So then the person goes, then you're naturally going to go, oh Shane, and then half of that money. It used to be 70% of that money goes straight into your pocket, but TikTok just went, nah, we'll just take half now. And like, I'd be doing the same thing. So TikTok now take 50% of everything that someone buys through those gifts, but the other 50% goes into your PayPal account.
So for someone listening here, I'm sure there's people watching that, could have a decent following somewhere.
Yeah.
Can you only get paid off TikTok if you're at a certain level, or
No.
anyone? Once
Anyone.
you go on this and people give you
why,
your
That's
stickers.
why TikTok is like it. You're following it. Of course, your following matters. Like it does. The only way you're growing your following anyway is by using all the features of the app. Like so, they really want you to be doing lives. They want you to be doing a live like every day if you can. It's as much a feature as uploading. And then they want you to be uploading content 3 to 4 times a day on your platform.
Oh, right. So some platforms punish you for overdoing it, but they want you to keep
No,
doing
yeah. Consistency is key because the algorithm doesn't work like Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat. The algorithm works usually with about a 2-week lag. So if you uploaded something now, like it might not land on a For You page until the algorithm might not put it out there until 2 weeks time. So it doesn't matter how many times you upload in one day. Like you're not clogging up a feed. It's not like Instagram where you can just see someone's, so yeah, it's.
But would you say to a young, it could be a creative artist, dancer, whatever it is, would you say to them, I would advise you start getting on TikTok more than any other platform?
No, because YouTube Shorts has really come in now, and like they've decided they've just this week launched the actual YouTube Shorts app itself, which looks just like
I've seen
TikTok.
this, yes.
And we have a partnership with YouTube, so I've kind of got an insight knowledge into how this works now.
Yeah,
but,
this interview could go on longer. Is there money involved?
But there is, and again, they want to just replicate what's happening. It's TikTok has now defined the way younger people are consuming content, and whether you think it's a nothing app that's just for kids. Like this is here to stay. This short form, 20-second video is here to stay. Snapchat has launched something similar called Spotlight. Yeah. They, instead of, it's so interesting, instead of doing a marketing spend to let people know about Spotlight, and they had a marketing spend obviously, they had a couple of million sitting there that they were going to spend on marketing. Instead, they just said, you start uploading videos and we'll randomly start giving people $1 million quid here and there.
$1 million?
Yeah, and creators all across America, some creators, like one girl put up a video of her rolling a few marbles. She paid for her entire college degree, which is, as you know, in America is crazy money, because TikTok lobbed in 25 grand into her account. So they just started randomly. It's like a lotto for creators. So it meant every creator was flooding onto Snapchat, and now everyone went to Spotlight. Joel would have done really well on Spotlight. He's done phenomenal on TikTok. But
just on TikTok, to give people a bit of a comprehension, what kind of numbers of views, let's say, Corja, the Irish dance troupe, who are amazing, but Joel, what kind of views? What kind of figures are we talking?
2.5 billion views.
Views, that's insane.
He started his YouTube channel. He's on 2.5 billion views, 12.5 million followers. Grows by 1 million followers every 10 days. Every 10 to 11 days, and every video gets 62 million views or so.
So he, as a manager, then go, this is his currency, literally. You know what I mean? This is his CV.
Yeah, for sure. And it means that something that we have to get used to is that it's very easy for those figures to just become figures.
Yeah.
Until try to walk around anywhere with Joe, it's impossible.
So he's at that level, because he might miss maybe down here. Not everyone, or maybe older demographic might, but
can't walk around Dublin, can't walk around anywhere.
That's amazing.
The difference is that the age group, it's all kids going mad for him, and adults just who's that? So as much as we say, oh, he might not be well known, he is really well known.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. But
it's madness. We went playing mini golf in Belfast, and the people at the hole behind us and the people in front of us were oh my God, and looking for photographs and all. So it's those moments, because it all happened during COVID, that the following grew during COVID. As a manager, all I was seeing was the numbers on an email or on a screen, and you're not seeing the real. You're not. We haven't gotten to put a show on yet and see what
how many tickets it can sell.
Yeah, we can see that. We can see the demographic. We can see where he's popular, and what countries, really big in America, really big in the UK, parts of India. We can see where it's really popular. So yeah, it's really interesting. One thing that you notice is the brands that want to work with him are no longer whereas before it might be the odd Irish brand, or it's all just today Nintendo. He's doing a thing for Nintendo on TikTok and stuff. They're all huge global brands that are so very quickly. The emails, the nature of the emails totally changed, and then you realise that there's we're on calls with like companies in LA and stuff at all times, like at all hours at night, because like that's just where he's big now, you know, like so he.
But the stats
It's
from
like
that
the borders have just
moved.
Yeah, they're.
And usually if you were planning a tour, you go, well, we can bring him to any country. We know, I read a book recently where someone was saying about Spotify. Concert bookers would ask the Spotify people, look, should we book Act A? And they go, they had a huge number 1 this summer, but then Act B had 7 hits that were never in ones. They go, that'll give you a better gig.
Yeah.
So that's
it's actually
the serious
very,
power in that
very
kind
similar
of numbers.
And, yeah, and there's just all these like amazing things happening. Like he's got a book coming out with HarperCollins in November for Christmas, and then like the marketing behind that is like, how do we, as a management company and HarperCollins as a publisher, how do we make sure like that book will be on shelves, but adults going into a bookshop won't necessarily know who Joel is. So the marketing has to be like to tell the kids, to tell your parents that my book is out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How else are they going to know? They're not on TikTok. They won't know. So like it's a funny. It's not like just someone who's just well known bringing out a book. Like it's someone who's well known to kids. Like so, how do we get the kids to tell the parents? It's a actually really exciting like project to.
I imagine it's such a surreal world to be in. Like, and we're always looking from the outside, but you're in the middle, going, well, we're managing.
He's done two series on Sky. They're on Sky Kids now. Like even today, I was sitting on the couch with my nephews and I turned on Sky Kids and Joel's face was just there. It was like, you know, those moments are.
You're telling them to tell Mommy and Daddy get the
book. Yeah. I'll get them a signed copy.
Now you mentioned COVID there, so like all of us, the world stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped for you, and I suppose all your acts. But Shane being Shane, you didn't just lounge around. So tell us what you did, because I'm sure most of us have seen it.
You're sick of it.
No, but I'm laughing. Like, it's always ended, which is amazing. Like, you know what I mean?
I was at home and I am just by nature someone who needs to be creative. Like that's what I do in my job, and I'm creative for my clients, and I just didn't know what to do. I was like, you know, thinking of setting something up. I'm not as good as this, but like, I was like, will I do a podcast? What would I talk about? Like, and you know, I was just playing around with, I need to do something creative. Everything had stopped, like, you know, so, and then I used to be, as a kid, I was really into art. My mother always wanted me to do art in college, and I never did, and she was raging at me, and she was right, like, you know, because I never liked the course I did anyway, but like I did art in Leaving Cert and got like A1, and
so you did, it wasn't just young kid, you were doing it.
No, I was like, my art teachers, like, I became friends with my art teachers, like, because I was winning like art competitions and all this, so I was really into it. My brother was as well, and then just college and life happened, and then like, you know, you need time to be at art, and then sure, just years happened then, and then lockdown happened last year, and I just remember thinking like, can I still draw? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, can I? But I was like, I'll give it a go. So I started scribbling,
And who was your first portrait?
The first one I did was Michael D. Higgins. I'd never drawn a portrait before in my life, so I wanted to see, could I, like as a kid I'd be drawing cartoons and stuff, like, so I wanted to see, could I draw a real face, like, so yeah, I had just heard a speech by Michael D. Higgins he did this speech that went out to different community radio stations around the country, and it was really empowering. Like, it was a gorgeous speech.
This was lockdown related.
Yeah, and it was to do with like, we're entering into this unknown time, and I just thought the way it was so eloquent, and like, and at the time it was really moving, because it was at the time when you thought like, if you left your house you were getting COVID, like, you know, so it was actually quite a scary time. And I live across from Croke Park, and they were turning that into a testing centre, and potentially there was talk of it being turned into a morgue, and all, and like, it was all that time when it was real, like, really scary, like, and I remember listening to that speech being like, oh my god, like, life has changed forever. And anyway, so I started drawing. So you started drawing,
and then it got massive media attention. There was no media outlet you weren't on.
Yeah, that's true.
And then fast forward to, how long ago was it? A few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago.
The man himself, Michael D, invited you for lunch in the Oris.
Just
did. A private lunch, you and your wife Kat.
Yeah.
And him and Sabina, isn't it?
Sabina, yeah, and the dogs.
What was he like? Was he good crack? Was he very statesman-like?
Very statesman-like.
Yeah.
It was actually extremely nerve-wracking. Like, you're going up to the Oris. Anyone who I know who has met him at like an event where he is also there in attendance, or like an event that happened to be in the Oris. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't know anyone who's met him, you know, as like a personal invite to the Oris, like, we're just one-on-one. So yeah, when that landed in, I couldn't believe it. And then like, you drive up to the Oris, and there's a guard there at the gate, and like, you say your name, and the guard's like, the president is expecting you, and the gate's open. It's very surreal, man.
I would imagine.
And then we drove up and we parked, and it was just so tranquil, really gorgeous sunny day. And the guard just tells you, like, when you park, just walk to the main door of the Rs. Like, and it's a really long walk. And Kat was in heels. I remember she changed, and it's made the walk longer. And you're there. I was there with a portrait under one hand. Like, anyway, it just took ages to get to the door, and then got to the door, and like, it opened. You know?
Another automatic door. Like,
no, it's like
was he there or someone else?
No,
yes,
a soldier came out, and you don't know, can you say hello to them, or are they, because he was all very rigid, but it's Ireland, so obviously the soldier was like, what's the crack? Come in, like, and then went in and signed. And then we met his whole team, like his assistant and his aide de camp and photographer and the Secretary General, and met all the team, and then they had us sign the guest book, and then you're brought into this big, like, stately room, and I could see, like, the tea was all set up and everything, and the easel, and then they're told, like, you're kind of told the choreography of what's about to happen. Like, they were saying, like, the president is going to come in this door, he's going to come over here, he's going to stand here, you stay there, you don't move. Like, you're told, like, how to be mannerly. It's very basic stuff. It's not like it's not strict, and
it's not like the Queen.
No, it's not. It's just basic how you would treat anyone who's older than you. Like, you know what I mean? It was all very normal stuff. But it's just protocol. At the end of the day, he's the head of state for, like, Ireland. Like, you know, and he's in his home. So I think that's fair enough. That, like,
absolutely, yeah. And so you had lunch with him then, and he just chatted
so
away,
the staff all kind of stand to the back of the room, and then there's just this deafening silence for a while. And then the door flies open and he gets announced into the room. But, like, there's only me and Kat there, so that is nerve-wracking, like, you know. His aide de camp is a guy called John Grennan, and he's a soldier, and he comes in and he announces the President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins, and Sabina Higgins, and they came in. But, like, obviously,
does he have to do that when he goes to the toilet or in the shower? Does he announce it?
He gets announced everywhere. But anyway, obviously, once, like anything, like, the nerves dissipated after 30 seconds, and then, sure, he's so, like, disarming, and he... Like, it was just mad. Like, we got... so then we're chatting away about the art, and he's telling me about different artists, different styles of art. Like, obviously he's an intellect. He knows everything. Like,
very intelligent man. Very well versed in a lot of things,
so then we sit down, and he's talking to me about Sligo Rovers. Like, he's a big...
Huge soccer fan.
Yeah, huge soccer fan. So, like, obviously when I said I was from Sligo, he's talking about Sligo Rovers and how well they're doing at the moment, and he's just huge soccer fan. So he's on about that for a while, and then... they start talking about the west coast of Ireland and Galway. Obviously, he lives there for a long time, and it just became a lovely chat.
Just
like,
a nice, relaxed chat.
We're eating biscuits and drinking tea and all. And then
what kind of biscuits did they have in the Rs?
The dogs come in, lovely biscuits.
Lovely ones. There was no fig rolls or USA biscuits.
No, there was. What was I eating? I was too nervous to even check. I was just eating it, like, and he was, like, putting honey in his tea, and he was sitting on this couch that was gifted. The couch he was sitting on, like, he was like, this was given. From Charles de Gaulle to King Louis, whatever, and he was like, this is the original silk still on the couch. So he's sitting on this big couch, and then Brode, the dog, comes in and jumps up on the couch beside him. Like, it was just mad.
Not always allowed in every fancy couch, I'd say.
Yeah.
This is the new puppy, is it?
No, Brode's
the older
he's 12 years old,
okay.
and really, really, really well trained. Like, you know.
Knows what to do when.
Yeah, knows what to do when. And then the new puppy is Mishnach, 8 months old, and he or she.
Not allowed on the couch.
Too shy around strangers, so only moved when the president moved out of the room. Like, Mishnach ran in. But anyway, we were there for 3 hours, so
what like yapping away, and
he was like, sure, look, as we're leaving, it's like leaving your grandparents, like, you
know.
Yeah. As we were leaving,
to give you a fiver for the shop, like.
yeah. As we were leaving, he was like, the door's always open, but, like, it's not. It's
clearly not.
But it's just mad. And then, like, we've a direct line to them there. Like, they sent us all the photographs and everything, and it was an incredible. Obviously,
I can imagine, especially from that start day where you just decided, can I draw or not?
It was an incredible, and it's incredible to know, like, that portrait is now in the Rs, and it goes down in, you know, the annals of time. You know, some stage someone. I don't know, in decades might go like, who did that? Like, you know what I mean? That is a pretty incredible thing. There's not many portraits in there, so it's a nice thing.
And you spoke about talking about Sligo. I mean, I know you love Sligo.
Yeah.
Love coming back here. What do you, like, you're in Dublin all the time, but what do you miss most, or what do you love most when you come back home? Or?
Yeah, I think, like, the longer you're away from it, the more you love it. I think when I left when I was 12 and moved to Tullamore, like, I probably was too young to appreciate the beauty of the west coast of Ireland anyway, like, and the northwest, as always, completely. Like, and remember Billy Connolly joke where he was talking about trying to explain like a beautiful landscape to his kids, and he was like, mountains and the lake in that order is beautiful, and the kids are like, why? Like, why is that beautiful?
Don't care
but
that age,
yeah, but like, I certainly, when my parents moved back to Sligo when I was 18, 19, and I came back, like I had come back through the years to see family and stuff, but like when they'd actually established themselves back here again, like I was like, this is incredible. Like, and I remember not long after that there was a Sligo Who Knew campaign. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was huge.
And
hugely successful.
Huge successful campaign, and I remember like feeling really proud of that campaign because I was going through my own personal kind of sort of, I was falling in love with Sligo again myself, like, and then I was like, yeah, Jesus, I didn't even know, like, and that was the whole point of the campaign. And I've often thought like that Sligo is actually a little bit left out on like you're on these like Discover Ireland campaigns and all that, because like you often hear about all the same spots, like Donegal, which is obviously gorgeous.
Killarney, you're preaching to the choir here. Like, I mean, I've been saying this for years. Like, it's
shop local. But no, but definitely, I really think, because anyone I know who has gone to Sligo or stayed a weekend in Sligo, or friends of mine, like, they're always like, "Geez, it's gorgeous," like, and
but like, I'm a blow-in. Like, it's absolutely wonderful place.
It's beautiful. And I was showing you earlier, my grandmother's house. She just had this like undisturbed view of Ben Bulben up near where you live, but I won't give away your address now.
Oh yeah, there won't be.
And like she just had this undisturbed view, and the bay window was like floor to ceiling window. And I like, the older I got, the more I realised, like, what an unbelievable view that is. Like, gorgeous. Just looking out into that bay. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And then and I don't think I appreciated either, like my Strandhill National School. Like at the foot of the mountain there, oh man!
Epic
like,
view, isn't it?
I remember I tweeted. I found a random picture. I was like just lost in thought in grey Dublin one day, and I googled a picture of Strandhill National School, and I tweeted it, being like, "This is where I went to school." Like, and the tweet went mad viral because people were like, "That's hardly real." Like,
yeah.
It was.
But even when you're at the rugby club there and look up at it,
it's unbelievable. So yeah, I think just the landscape in Sligo is incredible, and there's also a nice like. Yeah, people are very friendly, I think.
The Guinness is good. I think you like the odd pint of Guinness now.
I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, there's some good Guinness. Connolly's Guinness. Guinness.
Multiple places. It's such a lovely town for a pint.
Yeah, Connolly's is good.
Connolly's is good. I think you get free pint Connolly's. One of the finest. So obviously everything isn't perfect in Sligo. If I give you €1 million tomorrow now, what would you, and you had to spend it in Sligo, what would you do? What would be the first things you do?
Jeez, I'd maybe widen the Bundoran road there.
You're about 2 years too late, but
I don't know. I think I would spend it in areas that elevate the. Like they're doing the Surf School of Excellence in Strandhill now. Like, I think that's incredible, and like, what a thing to be proud of. Especially when there's obviously Strandhill isn't a huge surf spot, but there's like. That could have easily sat somewhere near the Cliffs of Moher, like, and like it could have easily been a Surf School of Excellence up that way, or there's so many beaches along the west coast there that like that could have just sat in because they're already tourist hubs, and the fact that it's coming to Sligo, like, I just think,
I think the tide turned a bit towards Sligo getting its foot in the door more and more. And I think it's because not just our elected representatives and that, it's some of the great people that own businesses, that do voluntary work.
There's real creatives as well, I think.
Huge creative,
so I think £1 million, even though in today's world probably doesn't even get you an extra lane on the Bundoran Road.
Get you loads more extra cones.
But like just something in that area where you elevate like the natural beauty that's already here, or elevate the awareness around like discovering Sligo or Sligo Who Knew or something like that. So I think somewhere
like that,
or a motorway to Sligo.
We get that too. So look at, obviously we've known each other for a number of years, but even some of the chats here, I didn't even know some of those stories. Lovely chatting to you in this scenario. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, Brendan.
For anyone that does want to view your art, which some of it's incredible, like Gay Byrne, Marion Finucane, there's endless portraits there. Where can they check it out?
ShaneGillenArt.com.
ShaneGillenArt.com. And they can buy them as well there, and they can even commission a piece.
Or just DM me on Instagram.
Thanks a minute, Shane. As for anyone watching, we've gone a good bit over there, which was well worth doing tonight. Really enjoyed it all. We're going to go to a very special piece now for the Hobby Shop, which is a lovely art and craft shop on O'Connell Street in town. And we got in touch with them after John the Map, who was our first guest in our series, and he brought in some of his wonderful new artwork of maps of the county and town. And we're going to feature the shop itself and tell you more about how you can now buy his artwork in the store. So Audrey, tell us a little bit more about how long you've been here.
Well, we opened up for Christmas 2020. We had to close down after Christmas, and now we're up and running again since the last lockdown.
Yeah, and hopefully remain open and no more lockdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
And looking around the shop here, there's an amazing array of products for young and old. So for more of the younger customers, what would be tickling their fancy when they walk in?
Well, we have a lot of art and craft ideas and sets and drawings and stuff like that. And I found especially during the lockdown, they became very popular with the kids. And
you've a huge Lego section
and the
well.
Lego as well. There's Lego and there's clay materials for doing little sculptures and things like that.
Plenty to keep the kids happy during the holidays.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then moving around the shop, then it's not just obviously kids stuff. You have elite professional products here for the proper artists. Let's call it.
Oh, we do. Yeah. We have all the mediums: paints, oils, acrylics, inks, all the brushes, any equipment you would really need, and canvases, paper, all the various items.
For the professional artists out there, it's all inside these four walls here on O'Connell Street.
It's a one-stop shop.
And then, I know my father-in-law loves a puzzle, so I see plenty of jigsaw puzzles as
they're
well.
very popular, the puzzles, actually. And people have gone back into them.
More so,
yeah.
During lockdown. So.
Well, during lockdown, they became huge now. And even younger kids are starting to pick them up again as well.
And the reason we're here today is that you also are now stocking John the Maps, wonderful new artwork in store.
Yeah, they've become very popular. There's a huge amount of interest in them.
Yeah.
People have been coming in asking questions, because I have one in the window there. And we sold a couple already.
So as the tourist season peaks up, hopefully, more and more people will be looking for those.
Yeah, exactly.
And apart from the physical store, then you're online as well?
We are. thehobbyshop.ie.
Okay, and Facebook and Instagram, I assume, as well?
Exactly.
No doubt. Very good. So Audrey, thanks for letting us in and have a look around.
Thank you.
So thanks very much to Audrey and the guys at the Hobby Shop. And remember, if you want to go in and buy John's artwork, pop into the Hobby Shop on O'Connell Street. So that's another episode over, longest one yet. Well worth having a chat there with Shane. A pleasure having him. Thanks to Shane for coming down. Big shout to Jessica, Alana and Karen, who did the news, sport and entertainment as always. Never forgetting Connie and Mark here at the Riverside Hotel and Ripple's Cafe. By the way, I tried the sourdough beef sandwich. Best sandwich I've ever eaten in my life. Okay, a little plug there. And lastly, as always, Brian, the man behind the camera from Pixel Productions. We'll see you next week, which is on a Friday night. So next week, it's Friday the 23rd at 8 o'clock. And we have some very special guests. We have three of the guys from Moxie coming in to have a chat about their new single and album upcoming, and they've some gigs coming up for Flafest, which is happening in Sligo in August as well. I will be speaking to Miss Sligo, Orla Quinn, as well, about her attempts to become Miss Ireland. Thanks again for listening and tuning in, and we'll see you all next Friday at 8 o'clock.
custom